Yo guys, welcome to this new video. This time I'm gonna talk about my last game of the first round of this part WCoP. And this game was against Mr.378. And for those of you who followed my previous videos, this is the third game I play against this guy in GSC. And I've played in total 6 games of GSC in team tournament on McMeghan, and I got to face him for the third time. That's pretty unusual, to say the least. Anyway, I'll start by talking about the team as usual. I went with a very offensive team. I wasn't quite sure of what to bring, and considering the fact that we already played 2 times, I felt like there was no point in trying to counter style or anything, so I just wanted to bring something I liked. And I just wanted to play something offensive in this game. I wanted to have the momentum and control the game. That's what I like to do in general. So after testing a bunch of teams with my teammates, I settled on this one because it had a lot of offensive approaches, as you'll see, especially in the movesets. Also, I like the fact that I had 2 bronze types in Nidoking and Steelix, because electrics can be very influential. Oh my god. Anyway, they can have a big impact on the game, and I liked the fact that I had 2 immunities. Also, it allowed me to be a bit more reckless with Steelix if I wanted to, on the boom especially, and I still had Nidoking in the back to soak the thunders. So I'll start by showing the team individually, Pokemon by Pokemon. I start off with a very offensive Snorlax, Double Edge, Earthquake, Thunders, Self-Destruct. Very offensive approach. It's hard to tank this one, because even if you have a good mixed tank, like say Suicune or Umbreon, you can still boom on it and open the way for something else like Nidoking or Executor. Also, Thunder Snorlax is something I really wanted to use during SPL, just for the prospect of double edging a Cloyster on the switch and then killing it with Thunder before it can do anything, or at least beside setting up a spike. So I liked the prospect of this move. Then I have Nidoking, very solid sweeper in general, always served me well, lovely kit 3 attack, nothing unusual here. I just know that before the game I was considering going Fire Blast over Thunder, because of the fact that I could kill Heracross with it, one shot Forward Thrust 2, and it would work well together with Snorlax. But I decided ultimately to go with Thunder because it can hit Suicune, so I don't get walled by it, which I would with Fire Blast, and also just because Electric is a better offensive type in the tier. Wouldn't want, for example, to use Fire Blast and be cock-blocked by Cloyster. Then Executor with 3 attack and boom. I already had Sleep Powder on Nidoking, and I didn't feel like I really needed Stun Spore. So I just wanted to go with 3 attack, because whenever you use Executor, you often have 1 powder move, 2 offensive move, and explosion. And the problem is, you always get walled by something, basically. Like, if you use Psychic HP Fire, you get walled by water types. If you use Psychic Giga Drain, you get walled by Skarmory and Fortress. And if you use HP Fire Giga Drain, you get walled by, well, pretty much anything, because your main stab is Giga Drain, which has a very low power and PPs. And I just like the prospect of 3 attack boom, because I could really pick my target better with boom if it came down to it. Then Steelix, acting as the normal resist in this team, can also boom on Zapdos to open the way for Executor and Nidoking to wreak more havoc. Standard Zapdos and standard Cloyster with Toxic here. Honestly, I think there is a case for running HP Electric in this team just to stay on the offensive and get more damages against Cloyster. But since I already had Thunder Snorlax to get rid of it, hopefully, I felt like Toxic was better because it puts more pressure on Snorlax. Should I want to switch on Snorlax, then I can Toxic, spikes it, and boom. And then the Snorlax is low and already poisoned, so it has a harder time coming in later. And that's why I decided to roll with. And I'll move to the game now. So we were in a pretty good position before the game. I don't remember what exactly was the score, but I know we were just positive, and we were out. Like, yeah. Actually, now that I remember, I'm pretty sure that if I won that game, we were qualified for the second round. So that gave me some motivation. Anyway, it started off with Snorlax against Nidoking. Didn't want to take the slip with Snorlax, so I went with Zapdos. He showed Teeth on the first turn, and on one, I would just like to say, like, on one hand, I don't mind losing the leftovers on Zapdos, because you have Sleep Talk, but on the other hand, I'm pretty sure that since he used Teeth Nidoking, his team must revolve around like removing Zapdos or weakening it from the game, because that's usually a reason why you would use Teeth Nidoking. So on the other hand, I didn't know what really to think of it. It depends on what comes up later. Anyway, I HP highs here. Solid little crit, but didn't do much. He shows Snorlax. I decided to Thunder once, and the reason why is that because just in case he had Lovely Kiss, I didn't want to. Well, I'd rather take Lovely Kiss with Snorlax, but he showed Curse here. So now that he is cursing up, I don't really want to stay in with my leftoverless Zapdos. And since he has Curse, I decided to go to Cloyster instead. And he revealed Lovely Kiss. And I was very lucky here, to be fair, because I dodged it. He played really well, I give him that. He hit it against Zapdos and revealed it on the Cloyster switch. And I would have to play it without spikes if it hit, but I got lucky and dodged it. He said sad, yeah. In retrospect, maybe I should have played differently, think about it. Maybe I should have checked first with Steelix, although taking the slip with Steelix isn't the best thing in the world either. But to be fair, my only sleep talker in this team is Zapdos, and staying in against +1 Snorlax isn't a really good thing, so was kind of how to do. Played it, but spikes are probably more important than Steelix, so maybe should have gone with Steelix in retrospect. Anyway, now he gets to put my Cloyster to sleep, but I got my spikes thanks to the miss. I stay in one turn and take the Body Slam. The reason why is that at +1... Sorry, I wanted to sip some water. At +1 I can take Body Slam on the bench rather easily. And I want to sleep one turn just because if I need to wake up later with Cloyster, I need to at least sleep one turn. So that's why I decided to do it. Also, even if it goes to +2, I can go Steelix and still roar him out and keep it under control, so that felt fine. That's where I decided to go Steelix. As you can see, he curses on the switch. At worst, I'll take a +2 Earthquake, but while that does relevant damage, it's not too big. So, and now that I have the spikes up, I know Snorlax is gonna be easier to keep in check later. He shows Body Slam. Well, he showed Lovely Kiss already, so his last move is probably Rest, which means he doesn't have coverage to to do solid damage against Steelix. I'd like to say that I'm not a big fan of Body Slam Lovely Kiss, to be fair, because like if you Body Slam on the switch, something you would like to put to sleep, then and it's paralyzed, then you're kind of fucked up. But it worked out for him pretty well here. So he probably has some use for the paralysis later. So I roar here, and I roar in Nidoking. I go to Zapdos on the Nidoking, because that's my best switch-in. Well, Nidoking is Snorlax is a pretty solid switch-in, to be fair. Especially without spikes, but yeah, I decided to go Zapdos instead. And wait, actually I went Snorlax. I don't know... Okay, yeah, sorry. I went Snorlax. Zapdos was pretty solid, but yeah, I probably went Snorlax because Zapdos had lost his leftovers, and just in case he used the Ice Beam on the switch, could have been in trouble. So I decided to go Snorlax, but he played well here and went for the mid-ground in Cloyster. Cloyster covers Steelix, Staining, and Snorlax missing out. And here I feel like, okay, it's time to reveal Thunder. I know it won't die from Thunder, which is kind of sad because it didn't get previous damages. But Thunder is nice because, well, I will do a very nice chunk. I think it does something like 75 to 85. So it's close to dead thanks to spikes, and like it cannot switch in on anything later. And on top of that, I have the power resist chance. So I felt like Thunder was the right time to reveal it. But sadly it misses. So I'm not gonna complain here because he missed the lovely kiss on the cloister and it allowed me to get the spikes up, which is kind of big. But yeah, this Thunder miss kind of sucks. I go to Zapdos here and I don't exactly remember why I did that, to be fair. Trying to think of the reason why. Probably didn't wanna... probably expected Toxic, I think. Yeah, probably expected Toxic or Surf, and I felt like... well, Zapdos can switch in on anything and threaten in his team, especially with the spikes up. But he shows Ice Beam on the switch, which there's a very solid amount. And here I was comforted with the... Well, I could rest, but then if he decided to stay in Ice Beam, would be annoying. Especially because I would have 2 turns to sleep. And if he went Nidoking on the Thunder, I could just rest on it later. So I decided to Thunder right away, because if he stayed in, I killed the Cloister. If he goes to Nidoking and rest, I can rest. And get the Snorlax on the switch, which is pretty nice too. Get some solid damage and a power resist. I just wanna burn my sleep turn with Zapdos at this point, and he reveals Self-Destruct. So I'm gonna say something real quick about that. The fact that he shows Self-Destruct in the last move means he probably wanted to get rid of Zapdos. In fact, it's gonna open the way for Nidoking, especially now that he got the spikes up, it's gonna do better against Snorlax. I have a harder time switching in. And it probably means that one of his last is gonna be something like Vaporeon or Machamp. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And the other thing that I realized after the game, but not while I played, is that his full moveset, when you think about it, was Lovely Kiss, Curse, Body Slam, and Self-Destruct. Which means he doesn't have anything to hit Ghost types, which means he probably has something with Pursuit in the back. And that plays a part here because we both die at this point. And I showed Snorlax with Thunder, Cloister, and Steelix, which is paralyzed. And he showed Nidoking and Cloister. So I felt like, well, I don't want to send Snorlax because he's probably gonna expect it. So I was thinking of what to switch in, and I felt like, okay, Executor matches up well against both Nidoking and Cloister. Then he probably has an Electric, one of Machamp and Vaporeon, and something else, a normal resist. And I wasn't sure what to expect. But looking back at it, I should have expected Tyranitar. And maybe not sent right now, but I should have taken it into consideration. And I did not while I played the game. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it, because the kind of team he's using usually have something that wants Zapdos gone in the last slot, which is gonna be Machamp or Vaporeon most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Probably has one Electric. And the fact that he showed that he had a mono normal Snorlax means that his last is gonna be Tyranitar, because he needs a normal resist and he needs Pursuit especially. And Tyranitar would match up well against Steelix because he has a fire move and I'm paralyzed. Against Snorlax because since I showed Thunder, I likely don't have a boosting move, and if I do, I probably don't hit Tyranitar really well. So if he had Tyranitar, it was a good time for him to send him. And I did not take this into consideration, and I went to Executor. So now I have a Executor matched up against Tyranitar, which is pretty bad. Because he treated me with Fire Blast with a 2 KO and Pursuit. So, and I don't have a sleep move, obviously. Well, obviously, he doesn't know that. So, I don't know what to say here. And I feel like, well, I didn't reveal my sleep move. I could put to sleep his Tyranitar. So maybe he's gonna switch out. Maybe to take the sleep with Zapdos. And if he stays in, I feel like he's gonna switch out. If he stays in, I can Giga Drain on the Fire Blast and put me out of 2 KO range. Or at least out of Pursuit range, I think, I'm not sure. Anyway, if I Giga Drain here, I still get some damages against Tyranitar, which is good, because then it will have a hard time switching on the Earthquake Snorlax. So I felt like Giga Drain was safe here, because if you wanted to check for the sleep move and go Zapdos, I have Executor against Zapdos, which is fine because I have Psychic, and I can force the issue with Boom. And if it doesn't, well, I get damages on Tyranitar, which is gonna be helpful for Snorlax, like I said a second ago. He goes for a Blast, and he gets a crit here. And honestly, this is starting to look bad, because now the Tyranitar is super ulti. It didn't get any damages on it, and Executor didn't get to do anything this game. He could have at least weakened the Tyranitar, could have maybe taken something with it with Boom, but didn't get anything. And now it's dead. And looking at my position now, I have a Cloyster which is asleep, a Snorlax which can do something, I guess, but it's slow and spikes up, and a Steelix who is paralyzed. And the last, obviously, but yeah, I'm basically fighting with 3 Pokemon against 5 right now. And he has a Boomer too on deck. So I really need Nidoking here. And I just Lovely Kiss, just wanted to catch something. Well, no, I don't Lovely Kiss, I go Earthquake here. Maybe I should have Lovely Kiss, I don't know. Or maybe I should have just went maybe Hard Zapdos, because Hard Ice Beam, because when you think about it, like I said 1 second ago, his last 2 would probably be Zapdos, well, Unelectric, but usually Zapdos in the team. And some things that abuse Zapdos Gun, so like I said, Vaporeon or Machamp. And like Tyranitar has no business staying on Nidoking, so maybe I should have just went Hard Ice Beam or Hard Lovely Kiss. Instead I did Earthquake, so yeah, that's 2 misplay in a row. The first one sending Executor when I should have expected a Tyranitar with Pursuit, and the second one is doing Earthquake here. Yeah, it was a bit too passive a move, especially considering my position. I go Snorlax on the Zapdos, he goes HP Ice. At this point, I feel like he's gonna want to keep the Zapdos alive, because Nidoking can still do work against his team. Nidoking beats Tyranitar. It can beat Nidoking in the Ditto. Well, I have to rely on Speed type, but yeah, it can beat it. It can, like, if Nidoking can lose to mine, and Cloyster obviously doesn't want to take a Thunder. So and his last can be put to sleep, which means I feel like he would be a bit cautious with Zapdos, and wouldn't take a hit from Snorlax. So I decided to expect the Tyranitar, which was at full, by the way. I felt like if I managed to get a Giga Drain on it, I could freely double edge here, because even if you went Tyranitar on a double edge, it was already weakened and I could two-shot it with Earthquake, but now it's at full, so it's a big problem and I need to predict perfectly. And I over-predict here Earthquake or the Thunder. Then I Earthquake again on another Thunder, and almost now it's getting super low. And the roll from Thunder, just so you know, is 27 to 32. And I felt like, okay, so now my Snorlax is basically almost dead. And he stayed in 2 times, so I think I'm just gonna boom. Whatever I get from it, I'm just gonna boom. Because I'm at 31%, so I feel like I can take another Thunder. I just need a nice roll, average roll, I guess, and he has to hit too. Which, I mean, it's 70% accuracy too. So I feel like I'm just gonna trade and then rely on Nidoking to bring back the game, which it can do, because like I said, it beats Tyranitar 101, it can Thunder the Cloyster. I will have to rely on Speed tie against its Nidoking, but I don't have the choice at this point. I have to get a bit lucky and rely on Speed tie. And then I still have the Lovely Kiss option to take on the last. So I'm just gonna boom and get rid of Zapdos and maybe open the way to the win. But he hit another Thunder and he gets the roll. But I'm not complaining here. Just saying, yeah, I decided to go for the odds. I didn't feel like I had better options at this point. And yeah. So at this point the game is pretty much over, because it's like Zapdos can take the sleep. It's gonna be hard to kill Zapdos without being in the Earthquake range from his Nidoking. And at this point, like, Cloyster is asleep and Steelix is gonna lose to his Nidoking and Cloyster too. He has Cloyster on his, he still has Cloyster. So HP Ice, normal move from him, putting me in EQ range from Nidoking. He does a good play here because he could be unlucky with the Sleep Talk roll and like always roll a Thunder or Rest, and I would eventually kill him. And if I kill him while getting all these leftovers recovery in the meantime, I'm gonna be out of EQ range from Nidoking, and he wants me to stay in the range while still having absorbed the sleep with Zapdos, so I cannot use Lovely Kiss against his Nidoking, and he can kill me and then win the game, and then he can win the game with Cloyster basically. So he goes to Charmander directly. Earthquake, he gets to get some damages off again. Now I'm in Earthquake range from his Nidoking, so it's pretty much over. And yeah, so he goes Machamp here, he reveals his last. I expected it was something that wanted Zapdos gone, and Machamp makes a ton of sense in this team because he also has Pursuit Gengar, which helps to get rid of Mystery Rose, for example. The fact that he went to Machamp on Nidoking pretty much means that he has Earthquake, and at this point I have no hope of coming back. So I just try to play my best odds here. I go to Cloyster, maybe I can wake up on the first turn and try something. He goes to his own Cloyster, which is fine, and you can see why here, because I wake up on the second turn, I get a Toxic off, but he gets HP Electric, and yeah. And once again, looking back at it, I should have served, because by using Toxic, the Cloyster is still not in Thunder range from Nidoking. I don't remember the exact damage, but let's see for Nidoking. Cloyster Thunder is 81 to 95, so I can take it, unless I get max roll. I should have served him because at least it's in Thunder range, and I can, like, if I get super lucky, I can win with Nidoking by freezing the Machamp and critting the Nidoking, but yeah. So I try to hit Thunder, but it doesn't even connect. It kills me with Ice Beam, and then Cloyster beats Steelix. So yeah. I kind of got wrecked in this game, to be fair. Like, so we're gonna drink something. I was unlucky. I think I was overall pretty unlucky in this game. Besides the first turn Lovely Kiss dodge, which allowed me to get the spike. I still mentioned that. But then the Thunder Miss and Cloyster. Of course, the first turn quit against Executor was pretty big, and then the whole sequence between Snorlax and Zapdos, where he hit all the Thunder, always got nice rolls, and the fact that I didn't get the boom at the end. But overall, I'm not putting my loss over those instances, and I'll mention two main reasons. The first is that it's not like I was in a good position anyway. It's not like the game against Bomber where I knew I was gonna win, but the freeze saved him. Here, the hacks quotation marks that Mr.378 got against me just didn't give me any hope of winning the game or coming back, but like it didn't steal it from me. like I stole it from him in the SPL final. So that's the first thing. And the second one is obviously that I could have played this game better. The big two turn that were misplayed looking back was sending Executor right after the kills, because I should have expected a Pursuiter in his team. And the second one was here, when I had the Nidoking against Charmander. I shouldn't have Earthquake, to be fair. Should have expected Zapdos and be a bit more aggressive. Should have Ice Beam right away. So yeah. Maybe could have played some things differently, but I think most of my moves made sense. So yeah, that's how my round 1 ended on a 1-2 score. Although I think I played well enough to at least get a 2-1, because the game against Bomber should have been won if it wasn't for that first turn freeze. And yeah, I think I just mentioned one more thing before I end this video, and I want to talk about Snorlax. I'll go back to the team builder real quick. When I talk about Snorlax, about Thunder Snorlax, and I remember during SPL, I really wanted to use a double-edged Thunder Snorlax because of the prospect of killing Nidoking. And I played some games with test games with a Thunderlax team, and sometimes I missed, and I realized, okay, I was thinking, okay, Thunderlax is a good idea in theory, but what's the point of using a move that enables you to lure a Cloyster if, like, you can play it the way it's meant to be played and lure a Cloyster for the kill, but even if you do that, 30% of the time you're gonna miss Thunder and not get the kill. And it's pretty big here because once you showed Thunder, Cloister isn't gonna stay in or come in anymore. So it's pretty much lost all its value beside the like killing Skarmory, but yeah. It's not like this team really need the Thunder to kill Skarmory. And I remember during SPL testing I was like, okay, I'm not gonna use Thunder like team because it's too risky. Like I don't wanna play to give me an advantage only to lose it because I didn't get the odds of hitting Thunder. And I completely forgot about that when I was picking this team for World Cup. But yeah, in the future I'm probably not gonna use Thunder Snorlax again, because even if you play it well enough to get what you expect from it, it still can miss, and then you wasted the move pretty much on your Snorlax. And I actually think that's an underrated trait in Pokemon as a whole. It's Hax Resiliency in team building. Like avoiding, like we all know Pokemon is a game where you have to put odds on your side and try to be lucky or unlucky. Try to not be unlucky and try to be lucky when you can. And using moves that relies on those odds, it's not putting luck on your side, you know. And it's giving you even more chances to lose outside of playing. Like you can outplay all you want in the world. If you are gonna not hit those moves, it's not gonna matter anyway. So yeah, it's something to take into consideration when you build a team. It's like, for example, for the people who play in more recent generation, imagine using a Pokemon whose main stab would be Focus Blast. You probably wouldn't touch it too much, like, because if every time you wanna do something with it you have to hit a 70% accurate move, that's not good. That's just not reliable. So yeah, I'll probably make a video talking about that a bit more in detail, because I think that's an interesting subject in general. So I wanted to briefly talk about it before in this video. And I think that concludes it. I have one more game to show from this World Cup, because at the end of the day we still qualify for for round 2. And I got to play this game, which I'll show in my next video. And yeah, if you guys liked it, like this one, make sure to mention it in the comment. If you have any questions, as usual, don't be afraid to ask them. And if you have anything you would like me to talk about, once again, feel free to tell me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya and have a nice day.